to part 3 of a 5-part series. And this is all about building everyday resilience. And what are the 5 keys help you to develop resilience, support your nervous system, support which then connects, to all the systems of your body. Everything is influenced, everything is connected in some way. There's not a single system in your body that is totally isolated and isn't influenced or impacted by any other system. They're all going to have some sort of relationship. Oh, okay. So it's exciting to know that. That means that we get to take good care of our bodies. We're going to take good care of our nervous system. It's going to take, it's going to then ripple out and care for and support all of the other systems of your body. And so we find out that the way that we take care of our nervous system influences how our body functions, how our brain can function, our emotions, how well we're able to regulate and guide them. So we've talked about connection, we've talked about movement. Today we're going to talk about number 3, which is nutrition. Right here. So of the 5 keys today is nutrition. Now, I think as children, we don't really care whether something is good for us or not. If it tastes good, if it sends some sort of pleasure response, we just want it and we want more of it. So as you know, when you're teaching a child how to serve, like feed themselves, and they're trying to use a spoon, they're going to go after, that sweet pudding or applesauce or maybe crackers instead of the pureed broccoli or asparagus. It smells so bad. They're more likely to want the things that are going to give them that pleasure, maybe a dopamine hit, because there's sugar involved, it tastes good, there's something satisfying about that, and we just want more. As adults, though, do we do any better? Sometimes we are still in the same habit and pattern of looking for the foods that are easy, they taste really good, they have a strong stimulation of our pleasure center in our brain, and we just want more of that. It's quick, it's easy, it tastes good, has strong concentration of sugar or food flavorings, things like that, that really give us a big reaction. Boy, that's really, number one go-to desire of our instinctive primal brain, rather than taking the time to cook some chicken and cut it up and saute it with broccoli and onions and garlic and boil the pasta or the rice and serve and with a sauce and or make a salad. All of that takes more energy. And so our primal primitive brain is probably going to have some sort of response and saying, wait, this is too much work. Let's do the easy route. Let's just go through the fast food and get the easy, high fat, high sugar, high salt, like extravaganza for my taste buds. And I don't have to do any work. I just give them my credit card or my debit card and off I go. And so we don't always think about how the food choices that we're making are going to have a long-term effect on how well we can manage our emotions. This is just mind-blowing to me as I've been learning more about the digestive system, the human body, this incredible gift that we have, having these amazing bodies. Guess what? How we fuel them is going to matter far more than about weight gain or joint pain. It's actually a huge impact and influence on our emotional state, our emotional wellness, how well we can navigate life and handle challenges and feel capable of handling them. That's resilience. You feel and believe that you have capacity
to handle challenges. Now, neurochemicals, I used to think before I had more training and education, I used to think neurochemicals were all produced in the brain. And then I took a master class on gut health, and I was just astounded to learn how much our gut actually is a part of our emotional experience, how much that plays into our emotional wellness, and how we can handle challenges, because emotions are that primitive primal experience that we have. It's an instinctive reaction to stimulus around us or even within us, within ourselves. If I have an ache in my leg, it might affect my mental health where or my emotional wellness, where I think, oh no, I have this ache, something's wrong with me. And then I start Googling, aches in your leg and what could that mean? And it could be something terrible. um, and that's one extreme, or going to the other end, am I able to say, oh, my leg's kind of achy today? How strange. What did I do yesterday? Did I strain it somehow? Could I put some ice and heat and help take care of it? And we approach it from the higher brain, the reasoning, the thinking, the exploring, being curious, trying to be a problem solver, trying to figure it out. Why does my leg ache? It's not a crisis. Unless it's severe pain, go to the ER. But my point being that just all the challenges, the discomforts of life, they don't feel as big when we are able to manage our emotions and be resilient and say, oh, yeah, I've got this ache. Well, let me see. What have I done for aches before? What has worked? What didn't work? So I'm not going to do that again. So that's resilience. So when we are fueling our body and fueling it intentionally with a balance of healthy foods and occasional treats. I love treats. I don't think I could forever sign off cookies and stuff. But we want to make sure that the vast majority of what we're fueling our body with is going to support, guess what? The neurochemical that's not produced as much in the brain and actually a lot more in the gut, serotonin. Serotonin is one of those um, wonderful chemicals that our body produces that helps us to regulate our emotions. And guess what? This is what just blew me away. I was so just astonished and also in awe. And then I felt a greater sense of stewardship for my body when I learned this truth. Okay, 90% of the serotonin your body produces, which helps you to regulate your emotions, is produced in the gut, not in the brain. 90% can be brought into your system from the gut. So when you think about Minecraft biomes, I'm really into a Minecraft stage again with my kids. My next wave of children, my youngest kids are really interested in Minecraft. So, and I have 6 kids. My name is Michelle Cox. I'm a certified life coach, and I just find it really funny that I'm here again in a Minecraft um, phase, as my younger ones are really into it. So my oldest kids are in their 20s. They're in college, and I don't think they really care about Minecraft anymore. So it's just funny to be in this again. But it's been kind of a fun metaphor for me as I think about my stewardship responsibility that I have for my gut, so that I can make sure I'm giving my body the opportunity to produce the emotion regulating neurochemical from my gut. And how am I doing that? Am I making sure that if I want to be emotionally stable and emotionally mature and handle challenges in a more balanced way, then I've got to take care of what I am putting into my body, food and drink. Got to think both categories, because whatever we're ingesting is going to get to our gut eventually. And so is it going to help that biome? I'm thinking Minecraft, is it going to look like a lush jungle with a variety of plants and they're all vibrant and full and blooming and just so productive? Or is my gut going to look more like the desert biome on Minecraft, where there's very little life and very little support for life? This is the choice that we get to make if we want to feel better. Not just the aches and pains that we get in our joints, or we want to lose weight, we want to be a certain shape or size. It's very little about that, and much more important that we feel emotionally capable of handling life's challenges. We're going to have challenges. We're going to have unexpected things. We're going to have things too that we see it coming and we kind of ignore the warning signs, and then boom, it hits us and we're having to deal with something difficult. So things can come at us blindsided, or we just sort of pretend like it's not going to ever get to me. I'm never going to have to really face that. So think about that, like the gut biome that you're creating as you fuel your body intentionally from this part of the brain instead of the pleasure center. Just give me what tastes good and is easy and quick. So think about how what you are choosing to do and deciding now, take those long exhales, calm your body, which helps to send a signal of safety to your brain and calm your brain. And in this state, you can decide, what kind of biome do I want to create in my gut that can help then support me emotionally? Oh, I might actually be able to lower some of my anxiety and depression by allowing serotonin to do its job, by providing the serotonin with an environment where it can be produced and released, and my body can make good use of it. So as we consider that, I want to help you map out what could be kind of the neurological part of this that makes it easier to kind of fall prey to a less healthy and less supportive diet. So high fats, high sugars, highly processed. Okay, we can do that every now and then, but if we do that regularly, if that's the bulk of what we're eating and consuming, we can really hold ourselves back. And it's interesting when you think about limiting beliefs. So I talk a lot about limiting beliefs. I'm a life coach. I talk a lot about the thoughts that we have, and do they create a feeling of confidence, or do they create a feeling of hopelessness or despair or anxiety, and you want to quit and give up? And with children, I talk a lot about that as either a green light or a red light thought. It's a green light thought if it's supporting, it helps you want to keep going and be creative. And it's a red light if it's a thought that just really sabotages your energy, and it sabotages your sense of capacity and ability to do something, and you just kind of shut down. But then I thought, okay, we can have limiting and supporting beliefs and thoughts. I think we can also have limiting and supporting behaviors. Does this behavior support me to be that functioning, well-oiled machine and everything's just humming? Or is my behavior going to limit the production of serotonin, for example, or limit my ability to move and walk and breathe and live my life? Because you always want to think about, how does something impact your life? How frequently does it impact your life? And how long is it lasting? So if you get into a habit and pattern of eating foods that are not supporting you, they're limiting you from really having optimal health. They're limiting you from feeling your best, from having energy, from having a clear mind, from even feeling hopeful, because what you're eating is going to impact how you feel. So I want to map this out. So what I was talking about earlier is that our brain has kind of a higher center, where that's where the logic is, that's where the reasoning is, that's where you can say, I really think those donuts look delicious. but having them instead of a really complete meal is not in my best interest. That's not going to support me. That's actually a limiting behavior. So I'm going to turn down the donuts and I'm going to decide to take the effort to make a real meal and have a salad, and then maybe I'll have part of the donut as a little treat instead of substituting the whole good meal with donuts, right? So let's look at our eating choices here. And the lower brain is going to say, I want to do these three things. I want to avoid pain. I want to seek pleasure. And I want to conserve energy. These are some basic instinctive survival patterns. Oh, sorry, let me adjust this a little bit. Eating choices. All right. So the lower brain, this is what the lower brain is trying to do. It's trying to help you to avoid pain, seek pleasure, conserve energy. When you think about sugar, for example, what do you think your lower brain, your primitive brain, the instincts, what do you think sugar is connected with? So why do we choose sugar? Why are we doing that? Maybe over consuming great amounts of sugar. We're going to talk about a few other reasons as well. But one of them is that it very strongly stimulates the pleasure center of your brain. So sugar, woohoo, let's get some sugar. We're gonna have a great, we're gonna have a tremendous pleasurable response. That dopamine, woo, and it's highly concentrated. If it's high sugar, very concentrated dopamine hit, and so then your brain's like having a heyday and enjoying this great pleasure rush. We also, though, might turn to sugar when we want to avoid pain. So here we want to feel good. So we want that pleasure. Avoid pain. We want to ignore difficulties and troubles. So if we're turning to sugar when we're feeling kind of tired, it's been a long day, you just want a boost, you might be looking for pleasure just to give you that boost. Also, we're looking for energy, right? And so not only do we want to conserve energy, but we want to get energy, and we want to, consume something quickly that can give us a big burst of energy. And so we don't feel like we're dragging anymore. Now we're like, oh, perky, here I am, I'm back. So sugar can do a lot of different things. It can be connected to different needs that are not being met. So if you're not getting adequate rest, you're not getting good sleep, you're not taking time to slow down and just have a break, have a rest, let your body naturally reset. Instead of doing that, you're just like shoving some sugar into your body or caffeine to stimulate you and give you that energy that you're lacking. Then you get to become more dependent on sugar instead of listening to the natural cycle and ebb and flow within your body and honoring that by, okay, I just need like a 10-minute break. I'm just going to close my eyes for 10 minutes and then drink some cool water, maybe eat something healthy, and then you'll start to feel that reviving without having to turn to sugar and self-medicate with sugar, right? We might turn to sugar when we are feeling down, we're feeling depressed, we're feeling worried or anxious, we're feeling stressed, we have that cortisol flowing in our bodies, it doesn't feel good. So we're going to also look for pleasure by eating that sugar and have that shift. The good news is we, instead of turning to sugar or other maybe less healthy choices, we can look for what would help replace that sugar and still fulfill the need that I'm feeling instinctively. What could I do instead that is going to satisfy maybe this one of these instinctive survival needs that I have. None of these are wrong. None of these are bad. But we want to be careful that we don't fall into habits and patterns that are limiting to us. They're not actually going to be for our good. If I always turn to sugar in order to feel good because I have a lot of stress in my life, maybe I'm struggling, at work or with family, or just life feels overwhelming, and all I do is turn to sugar, I'm not supporting the very center where I can produce a natural chemical that can help me feel better and help me to manage my moods and kind of bring that really big disparity, really, really high highs and really low lows, and kind of make it a little bit more manageable. So it's not so drastic, but kind of keep that spiking of emotion to be a little more shallow, not so intense. And that's what serotonin can do. So this is what I'd like you to do. When you find yourself turning to foods and drinks that are really not supporting your wellness, they're actually probably contributing to your gut not being as healthy and vibrant as it could be. And then that has that snowball effect of not allowing your body to produce the serotonin it needs to be able to regulate your emotions, or you're not taking good care of other parts of your body. You're not taking care of your sleep. Maybe you're turning to a lot of sugar or caffeine to give you that stimulation instead of just, okay, I just need to get more sleep. I need to go to bed earlier. I need to put my phone away. I need to turn off TVs and computers and just get more sleep. And instead of actually taking care of the real need, which is, I need more hours. I need to give myself that opportunity. Instead, we're still doing all the other frantic things, shorter nights, not enough hours, and then turning to sugar and caffeine to get that boost and to keep me going, and I'm just dragging. So we have kind of um, just a social, it's kind of a social joke about caffeine. Don't talk to me till I've had my caffeine. Don't talk to me till I've had my coffee. Notice that though. Is that a supporting pattern that you can't even be nice until you've had your cup of coffee in the morning? Are we looking at a solution that is just quick fix instead of taking the time to really nurture ourselves, figure out what we really truly need, and fill that need with something that also supports the whole system? What are we relying on? So we have to be careful that some things going to be so common and so acceptable in our culture, but maybe that's not even very good for you. Maybe it's not even the best way to handle the cues and the signals your body is giving you. As you take more intentional care and stewardship of your body, thinking about this beautiful garden that you're trying to create within you, okay, what are you going to do about it? What kind of corners are you going to cut? Thinking it's going to be faster, easier, less painful, or are you willing to put a little work and effort in order to feel better? I'm never going to say on any of my podcast episodes that no one should be on medication and no one should be seeking that kind of professional help. Absolutely. I do believe in medication being the right thing for some people at some points in their lives. But I do also believe that the better we care for our bodies can possibly help us to move away from needing synthetic chemicals and being dependent on that side of things to feel well, and that we could actually create this healthy, vibrant internal environment. The better that we understand how our body works, the better how we understand that it's all connected. What I'm eating is going to affect my emotions because it's affecting my internal organs. It's impacting how my brain can function. If I'm going to have clarity or have fog, it can be related to what we're bringing into our bodies. So if we're willing to try that out, explore it, then we might find better solutions that are more supportive and long lasting. And so if you want to try that, look at what you're eating, things that we generally know are not good for us. in great amounts, right? Because again, I'm never going to say, never eat candy, never eat cake. But if that's the majority of what you're eating every week is, highly processed, high sugar, high fat, high salt, all that thing, then don't be surprised if you do feel unhappy and you feel less stable emotionally. You feel more weepy or irritated or upset. Notice it and be willing to notice, why am I reaching for these foods or drinks that really are not very supportive? They're not really going to support the wellness of my body, which then affects my emotions and my emotional state. Why am I reaching for these things? Why am I doing that? Because the more that you get into the cycle, you're having sugar, for example, or caffeine or alcohol, to try to feel better and handle challenges. Why are you doing it? What are you trying to avoid? Is there something painful you're trying to avoid? There's maybe you've got to get all this paperwork done and you've got to turn in some forms and you have to make phone calls. I don't know why we are so afraid of phone calls. I put it off too. I've got to make a phone call. I've got to call the bank. Oh, I don't want to do that. What are we trying to avoid? Is it really? And so when you get back into your thinking brain, you can say to yourself, how painful is it really? How painful is it really to make that phone call, to fill out that paperwork and mail it? How painful is that? How long would it actually take? Would it really take a lot of my energy to make a phone call, like literally tapping on a phone and talking to someone? And I know it doesn't sound very pleasant, but guess how good I'm going to feel when I have completed that task? I don't need to avoid it and look for other things to make me feel better. I can I can lovingly talk to myself and say, yeah, it doesn't sound very fun to make that phone call. Let's take some breath. Let's do some regulation. And when we've calmed our body down, ooh, that relaxed body doesn't feel stress anymore. Okay, it's not going to be that big of a deal. See how it can shift things into focus and into perspective and put it at the proper ratio of intensity and response. Like, how big of a response do I really need to give this? It's just a phone call. I can do that. And so you start talking to yourself, give yourself that supporting belief. I've got this, I can do this. Get some exercise if you need to, kind of move your body, help to release some of that cortisol you might have been feeling about having to take this step and take care of this thing that you don't want to do. So regulate your body, get working on that mindset. Okay, I can do this. It's not going to be so bad. And then envision it going well and being not so hard. And that resilience that I talk about, you have the capacity to do it. It's actually not going to harm you. You can, remind your instinctive, primitive brain that it's okay. It's going to take me a few minutes. It'll take a little bit of energy. It's going to be all right. So using that all together, the mindset, talking to yourself, the positive, reassuring, supporting belief, positive self-talk, feeding your body healthy foods so the serotonin can be released, help you to manage your emotions. And then noticing, what am I looking for? What's my instinctive go-to when I'm trying to avoid something, having to do something that seems like it's going to be painful, or it's going to take energy, or it doesn't sound very pleasant. What am I doing? Why am I doing that? Okay, so if you can map it out and say, oh, I notice I go to sugar when I have to maybe talk to an ex-spouse, or I need to file some paperwork, or I need to go to some meeting that's going to be really long and boring or stressful. Maybe I'm going to be kind of in the hot seat and I don't like that. It's uncomfortable. Am I turning to sugar? Am I turning to alcohol? Am I turning to highly caffeinated drinks? Just notice, what are you doing? And then question it. Is this the best way to handle this? Because again, if I want to feel confident, I've got to be fueling my body with healthy foods that support that environment that can produce that neurochemical that then helps me to feel that way and to be more likely to feel good. Okay, it's all connected. So, this is the power of nutrition. It's going to help to create that internal environment where things feel better. If you don't have a stomach ache, boy, that feels great. If you've dealt with stomach aches and maybe some chronic digestive issues, think about how this is all connected. What are you thinking and believing about yourself? How are you fueling your body? How is your gut, the microbiome in your gut? What are you doing to help make that a healthy environment, which then can influence your mind and your mindset? And it's all connected, going back and forth. So, yeah, we can look at this, right? So the brain is up here, your gut's down here, but your gut is like a second brain for your body. And so as you take good care of yourself and have intentional practices, nutritional foods, we all know what they are, right? Produce, fresh produce, the leafy greens, whole grains, water. Water is my favorite. I drink a lot of water. That's what I drink most of the time. I'll have some almond milk. I'm a little bit lactose sensitive. I love almond milk. So, but my main drink all day long is water. And if you want to infuse it, you can get one of those infusers so that water doesn't seem so boring. When there's no flavor to it, it's not very pleasant. If you're used to a strong flavor in your drink, then just plain water is so boring. So boring. And so you don't want it because it doesn't give you that pleasurable kick. So you can infuse it. Put berries or cucumber, mint leaves, or lemon slices, lime. You can make your water more interesting. But making sure that you're getting that water is so important. So think about that. Notice yourself. And I would say, don't try to make changes right away. First, become curious. Notice your patterns. Give yourself a week where you just notice, when do I usually want to have a candy bar? When do I go for my 5th cup of coffee? What am I doing? What am I thinking about? What's sort of like lurking behind me that I'm like, oh, I don't even want to think about that. I'm just going to have some sugar. I'm going to drink a Coke. But also realize that a lot of these things become addictive. And so then we become compulsive and we're not noticing it. It's just, this is what I got to do. I've got to have my 6 cans a day. Notice the pattern. Don't try to change it yet. Just try to notice it. And then decide what kind of state do I want to be in? What kind of health state do I really want? What's the life that I want? And what does my body feel like when I'm in that ideal life that I want? How well am I digesting my foods? How well am I handling my emotions? How well am I kind of shrinking those spikes in emotional response so that it's not so dramatic? We're all going to be like this. That's good. I don't know that we could be super happy all the time. I don't know if our bodies could handle that. I think we need to expect we're going to be down. We're going to have difficulty. We're going to feel worried. We're going to feel kind of overwhelmed or lost and not know how to handle something. But the less dramatic the spikes are, the spike up or the drop down, the less dramatic that is, the more we feel that resilience, the more we sense it that we can handle this. We can find a way through. That's what I'm going to end with today. I'm going to show this poster one more time. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So in this series, we're on number 3, which is nutrition. I hope that you have learned something new today. And I hope that you take that time to really start to notice yourself, notice your patterns, and then decide, what is the life that I want? And what do I need to do? What can I shift just a little, make a little change right now? If I normally have 5 cups of coffee a day, can I shrink it down to 4 and then replace the last one with, an apple, some delicious infused water, and some exercise and maybe some regulation or some rest? I can expand my night. If I'm normally getting like 5 hours of sleep, yeah, I'm going to be more likely to be dependent on some stimulant. So if I can allow myself a longer stretch, manage my time a little better, that's what stewardship looks like, being intentional. And then noticing, okay, what am I looking for? Why am I doing kind of these self-sabotaging, self-medicating with limiting foods that don't really support my overall wellness? Okay, so thank you for joining me today. It was fun to share these thoughts with you. And if you have any other questions, feel free to email me at michellecox.mindset@gmail.com. I'm a life coach. I love to help people understand the power of their thoughts, but also understand their beautiful stewardship they have of their amazing bodies and how that helps us to move forward, to have self-confidence, to feel that resilience that we can handle challenges in life. We have so much more capacity than I think we give ourselves credit. And the better we take care of our body, give ourselves that nourishing, positive self-talk, give ourselves opportunities to regulate through movement, through connection, through creativity and exploration, curiosity, then we're just going to feel better. We're going to show up in our lives better and be great beacons of light to everyone around us. So thank you for joining me in Let's Talk, and we'll see you again next week.